Kitchen and Cocktails by Kelvin. I want to thank you all so much for being here today because you're here to address an important issue, and that's the protection and the return of missing black girls. This is an issue that requires so much attention, yet receives very little, so your presence today means everything. I'd like to thank the media so much for the time and attention you bring to this issue and for your presence today, but we'd also like to remind you guys this is an issue that's going to require not only our support, but the support of our family, our friends, and the entire country. Thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you, Ms. Deborah Kell-Hill. Thank you, Ms. Ester Davis. And thank you, the National Council of Negro Women, for what you're doing to contribute to this cause. I hope you have a fantastic night. We hope there's great conversation. And we pray that our efforts together can help the support and the bringing back of young black girls. Thanks so much, and you all have a fantastic night.
Just take a few minutes to get started. We do appreciate everyone taking the time out on such a worthy cause. If everyone knew how important this is, I would like to believe this place would be full. It is our responsibility to carry this message forward and inform other people so that we can be more prepared and protect our families and communities. So thank you so much again. I'm Dr. Keisha Lankford, co-director of Lankford Avenue, where our services are to help young people that have gotten off path, have found themselves traumatized by life and making decisions that do not serve them well or the community well. I'm also school board trustee here in the Cedar Hill area, so I bring greetings from our school board at Cedar Hill ISD. Children are my passion, they're my purpose, and I certainly don't want to get in the way of us not serving them the way we should. So without further ado, I want to introduce our panelists. I want to acknowledge our sponsors, Terry Allen, Dr. Ester Davis, our media coverage that's in the house, Cheryl Smith with Metro News and Garland Journal. I also want to recognize Channel 8. Channel 8 is also here. Thank you so much for finding our children as a priority. Thank you for making our children a priority. So Kelvin is our senior sponsor here. This is his new establishment. You guys give a round of applause to him, please. His lovely mother and administrator is here. Thank you so very much for having us. Missing Black Girls, our town hall report. I have distinguished guests here that are passionate and know firsthand knowledge as to why we are here today. We have, and this is something that I've had to go attend training. Our class, one of our classes we do is DWI. And in the DWI certification class, I had to complete a training on sex trafficking. And the statistic that was most startling to me was that there are more slaves in the United States today than ever in history. I did not believe it. I'll be honest with you. I challenge statistics. I'm intelligent. I don't believe everything I hear. But I go home and the neighbor comes to me and says 2 days later, "Can I look at your video footage? My daughter left 2 nights ago, and I need to see what car she went in." That hit close to home. And that is exactly how it's happening for so many. I've had clients that have endured dire situations as children, and when they hear these lovely sounds, which they think is love, via Instagram, Snapchat, social media, they're tempted to trust this particular person. And that person will take them away and never bring them back. Now, some may think that was their choice to leave. That's their consequence. But if anybody in here is perfect, throw something at me. I can be hit if you're perfect. My point is, all of us have made made unwise decisions and have now found ourselves brutalized, exploited, and it was nothing but the grace of God. So today we want to empower you, we want to encourage you, we want to unify, and we want to be an advocate for these young people that are not getting the public attention that they so rightfully deserve. Somebody has to do it. Will it be you? Will it be you? Will you use your sphere of influence to enlighten other people about what happens when we allow people to tell us things that are not true and go against what is good for us? Will you be the light in darkness? After hearing our panelists today, I believe if you have not already said yes, I am so hopeful that you will. They need you. We need you. I need you. First panelist is Judge Sandra Jackson. Ms. Jackson is an elected official here in Dallas County, and she works diligently to make sure there is justice and fairness in our courts. But she too has also been made aware of some of the things that are going on regarding trafficking. And she's going to share that with you at this time. You might come in and give her a hand as she comes. She had over 20 cases on her docket today, and she still made it. Hello. When you want to do something, you do it, right? Thank you so much, Judge.
Thank you, Dr. Lankford, and thank you to each of you. I am Judge Sandra Jackson. I am the district judge of the 302nd Family District Court here in Dallas County. And I want to thank certainly the owners of this great restaurant, to Attorney Kelly, to his mother, and to Esther Davis, and of course Deborah Jones, who invited us to participate. I see some of my colleagues, Dr. Moorhead, I see you, I see City Councilwoman Carol Hine, how are you? And I see other friends, and so certainly thank you all. I think I see journalists out there, she is Cheryl Smith back there, and just friends who have down through the years been supportive. We thank you so kindly. I know this is not a political campaign, but I am up for re-election. Thank you so much. So, one of the things that when Esther Davis reached out to me, she and Deborah, and they said, Sandra, what happened with the media attention with regard to, and I wrote her name down because it struck me as odd, the media attention that was given with regard to the Gabby Petito missing persons scenario. And they were like, Judge, so many black women and black girls are missing in our country, and they don't get nearly the amount of attention that this young lady's missing persons, and sadly her passing and her death, garnered. What's going on with that? And I can recall there's a journalist in Southern California who started a group called Our Black Girls. And she has a website about missing black women. But just in the state of Texas alone, just in the year 2020, nearly 500,000 people have gone missing. Just in the state of Texas alone. In the year 2020, nearly 350,000 children have walked away. So what is it that causes them to walk away from their family, or what they knew, or what they learned? It's many, many dynamics that go into that scenario. Some of it has to do with abuse. I run a child protective services docket in our court. We also oversee a drug court, and we also oversee other family issues. And the dynamic of the family is quite interesting, intriguing, and almost shocking because of the level of trauma that oftentimes people are experiencing in that home, and any one of many factors can motivate that child to leave that home and or that mother to do something that we would all see count as being fairly nefarious, and we would not do that to our own children. So when we first got on the bench, we were asked to participate in a tour of Dallas. And the foundation took us as judges on a tour of the primary sex trafficking areas in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It included hotels, it included apartment complexes, it included corporate buildings, places that you have actually driven by this area, North Dallas, South Dallas, East Dallas, West Dallas, warehouse areas, Northwest Highway, so many places that are prime locations for men, women, boys, and girls being trafficked. And the dynamic is surprising. And the numbers are monumental. And Dallas, Texas, our city that we all love and care about, is probably one of the top-ranking locations for sex trafficking in our state. So how do you deal with that? What do? We learned a lot of information that day. What can we do? How can we resolve it? We use the National Crime Information Center to try to locate. There's all kinds of forums. There are 501c3s that are working in the Dallas-Fort Worth and Houston area that have to do with children who are missing. In the CPS area that I deal with, if they run away, we immediately issue a missing persons and APB to the local sheriff's department, police department, constable's office. They get involved as well because they serve all of our writs and most of our documents. So we do everything we can to inform people that a child has walked away. You can't blame the child. It's the dynamic. It's the emotional upheaval. It's the mental health issue. It's the drug addiction. It's the worrying scenario. It's the abuse. It's the mom who has, we had one case, she has 7 children, 5 different fathers. She didn't know what else to do. And so when her oldest got old enough, she started letting her have sex with men who would give her money. Okay? So that's prostitution. In her own home. Her mom was a John. So you have a scenario. And all of it, sadly, all of it, bottom line, is about survival. Survival in difficult moments. Survival in a difficult life. Survival in a difficult country. America is a difficult country to live in. Listen, tell the truth to yourself and nobody else. We all know what's going on, and that's a part of it. That is the exact dynamic as to why one young lady would get all the media attention, and yet a 13-year-old can disappear and nobody knows where she goes. Because we have a different dichotomy based upon race and gender. You can be indigenous, you can be Latino, you can be black, and you can be white. And you will disappear and no one will know it unless somebody takes up that banner and becomes a voice for you. We're here because we are raising our voice and we are saying to all of us, let us work together so that we can help to bring attention to a problem that is nearly systemic, problematic, and the worst case scenario for some families. I encourage you to be involved, and I thank you so much for your time.
So much. Thank you. And what she said is so true. This is what we call a crime in plain sight. I was in the Big T Bazaar, it's a confession. I go on Mondays when it's less traffic, right? But I really want something sometimes they have some really good stuff. And I saw a girl and some guys, a guy and some girls, and they said, go in there and buy it and put it on. And she said, what do I do with the other clothes? Just leave them there. Plain sight. We know what was going on. And what's happening is, the luring is, you know what? Who doesn't want money? Who doesn't want to be laughed at when they go to school because they don't have any good clothes to wear? Who doesn't want some man to love them when they never had a daddy to love them? And so that makes them so vulnerable. Come to the mall. I'll meet you there, leave your cell phone there, and I'll take you to this party. You can make $500. You don't have to have sex or anything. I'll just bring you to the party, and you meet a lot of celebrities. You have $500. This is what happens. They go to the party, and they give them drugs, and the kid, we don't hear from those children, some of them again. So it really is important that we are vigilant, looking, doing what we can to encourage our young people and not allow them to be so thirsty and hungry for other people to fill that void that don't mean them well. Next we have our ConstableTracy Gulley. She's coming up to talk about what she sees every day. And this is what makes our children so vulnerable. Would you give her a hand as she comes?
Thank you. I'm going to get a little comfortable if you don't mind. It's a little warm here to me. It's just a uniform, I'm sorry. Good evening. My name is Tracy Gulley. I'm the constable for Dallas County Precinct 1. I actually have the largest district in my fan club is over there. Okay, thank you. Actually, my job is way different than the judges here. And I pretty much oversee the Dallas County Constable Office at Precinct 1. And what we do, we work off of court orders from the judges, whether the JP judges or the district judges, whether it's evictions, small claims, rid of attachments, or we're working with CPS, where we're picking up children, taking them from one parent to the other, or even if we're taking them to CPS. So we do a lot of that. Lately we've been dealing with a lot of evictions and a lot of mental illness. Come to find out, because of the pandemic, I'm not sure if you are actually spending so much time with that significant other at home. The kids are at home a lot now. So this it brought about a lot of change. And when we talk about sex trafficking, or if we talk about missing children, I remember when this story came on about Gabby Casino, my daughter asked me, why is it so different that they don't look for a black girl versus they use all this media attention to look for a white person? That was a good question. Is it politics? Because I learned that once I got into this job, politics is in everything. Is it racism? It still exists. It still exists to this very day. I know the judge and I were talking about this. So how can you tell me what is the difference? I noticed that a lot of times when I go out, and we do a lot of CPS cases where we're taking the children away, and you don't realize what really happens in the homes. Whether there's a single parent, or the grandmother is raising the child, or it's a broken home. Not always it is a broken home, but there are a lot of issues that we run across when we go into the home. And I see that this is the reason, some of the reasons why, if they're not given enough love at home, if they're not receiving this is why it's so easy for the predator to step in. Or it's so easy for, now, I'm speaking from experience because I have a 16-year-old. And she tells me I'm not hip enough. Mom, you need Snapchat, you don't know anything about Instagram, Facebook, and I got Facebook because of her. And she never told me that I need to come up to the bar and realize what's really going on. I had no idea. And call me a little old-fashioned because I'm over 50s, I'm way over 50s. But I thought edibles was the edible arrangement that we get. You know, like, I'm serious. Like the fruit, the flowers, oh no. I had no idea. My daughter said, Mom, are you serious? Really? That's not what's going on. I had no idea, and I'm speaking to almost adults in here. I see some of my teenagers in here. Sex, smoking weed, and edibles. That's what's happening. Now, I'm just keeping it real. That's a lot of what's going on in these schools, in these homes that I see. And then when I go to schools and speak to the students, that is what they're talking about. I mean, they can give me a few lessons on a few things that they talk about. I'm like, are you serious? It's going on. It is really happening. And this is some of the reasons why I see, or you wonder why it's so easy for these young men to be in their ears. Because I'm not getting this love from dad, or something is going on in the home. And it's so easy for someone to tell you, oh, hey, I can do this and I can do that for you. And they're looking for love in some of the wrong places. And that happens. I also noticed that when I started there at the constable's office about 25 years ago, I was put into the warrant section. And we were picking up teenagers in the North Dallas area. Had no idea. Skillman, Adelia, Northwest Highway, that was a training camp. I'm like, training camp for what? That's where you train to be a prostitute. Had no earthly idea. But a lot of things that I see as being a constable, and I've learned that this is some of the reasons why some of these young girls, and boys as well, and just like if you guys are watching the news about this transgender cases going on, A lot of things are going on because of what's happening inside the home. Peer pressure is out of this world now. I had no idea. Peer pressure, big time. So, a lot of things that we see, and when, like she said, when Miss Ester Davis calls you, trust me, you show up. You really don't have too much of a choice, but just show up. We're happy to be here. But yes, when she calls you, listen. It's like, yeah, doesn't talk, you listen, and you show up. So we're here. So if you have any questions, I know I don't want to take up too much anyone else's time. So Alan's here, ask me any questions that you need. I hope that I can help you.
Thank you so much. And Constable Gulley, these ladies are fine examples of what we have to put in front. You all are fine examples of what we have to put in front of our children. Oftentimes, we don't even understand how valuable we are in knowing how to handle ourselves and understanding our value and worth. When speaking with her, I knew we talked about the influence on the social pop culture, if you will, right? So what's going on now? You got your Cardi B's and Lizzo and Eliza and don't quote me on this. I hope it's a few young people over here. Y'all help me out. Okay, what's the other girl name? This. Come on, Megan Stallion, yeah. Lord, have mercy. So we got this going on out here, and that's what they're seeing, right? And if they don't see anything different, how do they balance it, right? So we can't be good people and hide. We gotta let our light shine, because this is what they think life is all about, right? So here you go. Then you got, I have two young daughters, well, they're younger than me. They 26 and 27. They're grown, graduated college, but they tell Mom, guys, look, Beyonce married to Jay-Z. And everybody knows Jay-Z what? Smoke. Then we have, Offset. Smoke. So that's the common ground. No, it's not. That's not what everybody does. That's what they do. And we have to emphasize that to our young people. And it's so unfortunate, especially after COVID, it's us. We are the school. We are the school that they're looking for. They're looking for these examples. And so right now, we're going to bring to you a woman that went through it. Say it with me. Went through it. I just, there are a lot of things I want to do, but I can't handle that. I'm so glad you're here to share, because sometimes when you share, it opens our eyes and minds to what we can do to change things. Even if it's a post on your social media page. Something to say, you're worth it, know your worth, don't allow anybody to lure you away or false fantasies, because if you do, it can change your life forever. But fortunately for her, in this, she found her purpose. She is a founder of a program called It's Gonna Be Okay. Isn't that great? It's Gonna Be Okay. So y'all welcome up to the stage Ms. Tonya Stafford, survivor and CEO of It's Gonna Be Okay.
That's what my grandmother used to say all the time. It's going to be okay. Yeah. So I named my organization It's Going to Be Okay. For those that don't know me, and for those that do, thank you, Miss Davis. I trained up under Miss Davis for over 2 years. She was the first one that wrote my story. And I think Channel 11 was the second one that did my story, and then Channel 8, and then Channel 5. So I'm a survivor of human trafficking. I was sold at the age of 13 by my mom for drugs right here in South Dallas. Yeah, I'm a South Dallas native. Didn't know my perpetrator. I'm from Bunton. I am. I'm a return to court. I'm from all over there. Crack epidemic hit. She sold me. I was already sold before I even knew I was sold. I wasn't a fatherless child. That's a myth. That every girl that's sold or snatched that's black is a fatherless child. I wasn't a fatherless child. We see my daddy every day. My grandmother was the one that was raising us until my mom got herself together, she said. So when we were bouncing around, I can tell you where every motel on 356 is. Because I was there. I can tell you. Because that's where we lived. We lived in motels. My mama's husband would get a room, and then he would get a room to take her girls to the next room. That's the kind of life we were living until we moved to the projects. And my perpetrator started coming to the projects. He had already seen me. I was pretty much a virgin. So he wanted the one that was pure, because the other ones had already been raped and sodomized. So he picked me. He raped me, impregnated me. They hid the pregnancy. I was 13 years old. Get ready to turn 14. I had my first baby in Mesquite Community Hospital. Nobody said a word. Not the doctors, not the nurses, nobody. I got up and walked out. He took possession of me that summer of '88. He took me into a house 5 minutes away from Turner Courts. I stayed in that house for years. I was going to school, straight up Florence. I was going to school. Then when I went to Lincoln, I couldn't go to school anymore because I'm pregnant with the second child. I have a second child at Parkland Hospital. You know what the doctors asked me? What are you doing having all these babies? I ain't telling him nothing, because he's going to tell him what I told him. So I'm just going to get up here and I'm going to have this baby. And I'm going to make it for my reasons. He was my second reason for living. I got pregnant with the third one. 10 days before my 18th birthday. He was the biggest child I had. That perpetrator made all the medical decisions. Had him at Baylor. I wasn't even a ma'am. They were saying, ma'am, you need some medicine? No, I don't need any medicine, because if you give me some medicine, he's going to beat the hell out of me when I get back to that house. So I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to have these babies. I had them all naturally. What I do now is I teach the hospitals how to recognize me. That's what I do. If you've ever seen Be the One by the Attorney General, that's my story. That's my documentary. It's a training documentary for all state employees. Yes, I gave them permission to use my story. You can see the house that he kept me in for 10 years. My neighbor was the one that rescued me. She seen something, she said something, and she did something, and she was a black woman. I hadn't seen a black woman that would stand up for somebody like she did for me and my children. She was the one that said, I can help you. You can trust me. I began to believe that somebody out there cared for me. And get this, my sister did report me missing. My sister reported me stolen to CPS. They didn't come looking for me, because you know why? I was a little black project girl. And I made all straight A's. Mr. Williams at Pearl Anderson is in my life now today. That man is why I'm standing here today. It's because he did believe in me and gave me hope, even after being sold. So I'm a living testimony to say, you can survive being trafficked, you can survive being abused, molested, and raped. You can survive. I survived. I did turn my pain into purpose, because my neighbor told me she didn't save me to sit on it. I was already dealing with abusing women and children, victimized, and didn't even know it. Taught Sunday school for 8 years. And get this, I hated the church. I hated the church. Because he took me to church every Wednesday and Sunday. Oh yes, right in Pleasant Grove. Oh yes. They told me I should have been glad somebody bought me. Couldn't tell them nothing. So I hated the church. But God sent somebody to restore my hope in people. And it was church. It was not church folks, it was God folks. That restored my hope. My neighbor is a God folk. I say everybody needs a sheep. Because what that woman did for me and my children, I could never repay her. She saved my life. The day that he almost killed me is the day that they took me away from that house in Pleasant Grove on the Cheetah Street. Will never forget. So I said, you know what? I got my babies. Yeah, I went to court. Sure did, went to court. No, they told me. They took me to court November the 27th, 1996. How do I know? Because it was my birthday. It was my 24th birthday. The judge told me, I'm sorry. Everybody failed you, the school system, the hospital system, and now I have to fail you. Because the statute of limitation ran out today, on your birthday. Well, what am I supposed to do now? My neighbor said, you just gotta get up and you just gotta make it. What am I gonna do with my babies? You gonna raise your babies? And get this, he got visitation rights, supervised visits, because those were his children. That's what I always remember. I chose to love my children. I chose to be the mother that my mother wasn't. I wasn't gonna abuse them. I wasn't gonna throw them away. All of my children graduated high school at the top of their classes. They graduated college. I'm a grandmother. I don't look like it, I don't care. But I am a grandmother. What I do now, I rescue. I have a safe house. Yeah, I know about everything. I know about Snapchat, I'm on Instagram, I'm on everywhere. Because you know, that's where we get our most reports at. So women that looks like us sitting here, and white women. Oh yeah. We get calls from y'all too, in inboxes, saying, can you help us? Can you help me find a child? I'm the one they DM. So I stay on, I'm on all the social media. South by Southwest, I got a young lady in my house right now, 2 children. She went to South by Southwest. Oh yeah. So she just gonna go in there and do some hair. My baby ended up disappearing. We rescued her. So I rescue, restore, and stabilize those that look like me. I put them in homes. My South by Southwest young lady, she just graduated Eastville in a program, year up. She's interning with the Federal Reserve Bank right now. I got another one that she's a corporate manager of a big corporation. She's a Hispanic. Yeah. I rescue girls that look like us, colored girls. That's what I do. I provide direct services. Therapy. Therapy was what saved my life and my children's life. I didn't get a chance to lie. My mama taught us to lie. You better lie because they're going to take your kids. That was in my head. But I didn't get a chance to lie because my kids were what they daddy did to me. They were a product of my trauma. But when I got into counseling, I believe in therapy. I go to therapy every Tuesday. I'm going there tomorrow. I go tell my business. I tell your business. Ain't no what goes on in here stays on in here. Ain't none of that no more. I tell everybody business. I'll tell your mom about the calculators. I'll tell your mom about all that. I tell everything. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Yeah, I know all the little secrets. But you know why I tell it? It's so that you can be safe. That y'all can be safe. Turn off y'all locations on Snapchat. Turn them off. Learn the signals of when you miss it. Or somebody has snatched you. Put a dot in the middle of your head. That will tell us that you need help. That will tell us. If you're on Snapchat, turn the locations off. Don't share the location with only your family and your friends. Only share them with them. Stop having everybody to follow you. Stop it. Because this is how they're snatching us. It's 675,000 of us missing right now. We are diligently out here looking for our girls. But guess what? When we find them, we don't have a lot of places to put them. That's the honest God truth. I am full right now. I need another house. Because our babies got a call for an 18-year-old by Homeland Security. I work with them. I work with FBI. Can you take her, Tonya? No, I cannot. Because I can't put them on top of each other. Well, what are we going to do with this 18-year-old baby? I don't know yet. But I promise you I'm going to find somewhere for this baby to go. Because it's not her fault. So if you ever seen Be the One, I am the one. I I just finished writing a curriculum with Office of the Trafficking in Persons. That's my curriculum broke down there. I told them how to talk to us. Colored. Now, if you want me, you gotta put in there us. That's what you gotta put in there. They took us in there. Just finished writing my book. Oh yeah, the book is here. The book is here. And I just finished working on a thing on surviving sex trafficking. I just finished that. Hollywood just picked it up. So, I'm out here. I'm in the trenches. I love the trenches. I freaking love the trenches. I love the southern sector. The house that I was rescued from looks just like yours and mine. It ain't always on the corner. It ain't always on Harry Hines. It ain't always there. It's right next door to you. Because that's where he kept me. And we rescue girls that live in $1 million homes. They come from $1 million homes. I'm telling you what's real out here. I have seen it all. Have I been threatened? My life been threatened? Yeah, family life been threatened. Ain't worried about that. I'm gonna keep saving. I'm gonna keep rescuing. I'm gonna keep going. Y'all call me, I'm gonna come. But I ain't coming by myself. Just know that I am licensed, and I will use it to pay my payments. So I know Tracy knows what I'm talking about. But yes, everybody can do something. Don't sit here and think that you cannot do anything. You can do something. I am a living testimony up here. I don't look like what I've been through. I'm gonna tell you now, I ain't missing teeth. I wasn't on drugs, ain't never did drugs, ain't never drank, ain't never smoked. I'm here. I'm in my right mind. There are young ladies that need us, that look like you and me. Invite us somewhere. We will tell you. Go to our organization's website. Donate. Volunteer. We always need volunteers. We always need you to represent what they look like. They need role models. They need mentors. They need us. You know what they say to me when I first go in? I'm their first responder. Don't put me with nobody that don't look like you. And that's their first request. They done been through it all. But when they see somebody that look like them, that really care, and I'm gonna tell you, I don't take no mess. I don't take no mess. I'll tell them. They ask me to pull with the police. You know, I'm just real. I keep real. Sit your ass down. Real quick. And let's make this happen. Because I'm here to help you. They're here to help you. We have to help each other. 75,000 is missing. Where the babies at? Where's the women at? Where's the girls at? They look like us. They look like y'all. Oh, wow, they look like y'all. They look like all of us sitting here. Everybody can do something. Don't sit here and say you can't do nothing. Get involved with our organization. Volunteer. When we have events, come. Support. I'm going to tell you who support me. It's a lady sitting right here that looks like, she don't look like us. I've been existing for 7 years. I've been privately funded, and we have a list of eat. I've made every budget. Those girls ain't wanted for nothing. Every last one of them that I have in this program haven't wanted for anything. And they're all surviving and thriving. This is my passion. This is what I love to do. I love to rescue us. I do. I love us. Y'all look like me. That's why I go and do it. Stop DMing everybody on Instagram too. I'm going to tell you, these celebrities, they don't care about y'all. There's only a few of them that I trust. And that's because I personally know them. And you can go to my page and see there's only a couple of them that I trust, that I have sat down and had conversations with. Stop DMing people. They're looking for you. You're vulnerable. I was vulnerable because I slipped through the cracks. I wasn't being fast, as they say. I always ask the church folks, how come y'all can discern when somebody being fast? And y'all can't discern when they being molested or raped or abused? Oh, I'll go to the church. They invite me to the church and I'll talk about them too. Because I want them to know too. And I know wherever you sit here, I'm telling the truth. Y'all want to say she being promiscuous? How come you don't know that she been molested or raped? That's what I want to know. See, I asked the question. And I think TJ should be in my story for domestic violence. But I know my time is up. Please get involved with It's Going to Be Okay. Please. We need you. We need women that look like you. We need mentors. We need people. Let's do it. I'm here. That's my challenge to all of you. My call to action is get involved. If you don't want to get directly involved, we need your money. I will ask for your money. Like they pass that collection plate, I will ask for your money. Because I'm taking care of these babies. And they babies. Save one, you save a generation. Because the one that's there, her babies are safe. She got a safe place to lay her head. It ain't a mansion, but I tell you what, she ain't wanted for nothing, or her babies. They have nice beds to sleep in, nice furniture. Ain't nothing beneath them. That's what I do. So get involved.
I have a house for you, sister. I have a house.
See?
That's a guy.
Oh, yeah?
Every time. Come on, take a deep breath with me. That was heavy. Because it does happen. My first job out of college was internal courts. And ma'am, what you doing over here in this red car? Nothing to play with. The young lady already knew how to sell her milk at the corner store that she bought it with WIC at the Minyards. It's already there. And you're right. We have to also acknowledge that there are dads that are there, but they may not be protecting and providing. And that's what we mean by having a present father. That's their job, to provide and protect. The mother's job is to nurture and support. Now, of course, again, we talking old school. A lot of people want to get away from old school, but then we get what we get. We don't want to talk about God. We don't want to talk about what keep you. We don't want to talk about what's right, but we want you to do whatever you want to do, and now we get what we get. So we have to stay true. We cannot be shamed to know what is right. God is a keeper. And I'll say that right here in this club. I'll never forget one day my daughter was sitting on the phone talking to somebody, and we're in a conversation in the kitchen, and we're talking, and she just texted me. My husband said, "Who you texting so important?" And the text said, "I can have you home before they know it." This was when she was in high school. I didn't know that. God is the keeper. I'm telling you what I know as an educator for over 20 years. We have to teach what's right. We cannot be ashamed because our communities suffer when we hide and not shine like that light on the hill like we're supposed to. If he's redeemed you, can you say so? Let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Has he kept you? He kept her. She got up here with all that attitude. Y'all hear that? The devil did everything he could to beat that out of her. But she got up here and talked with authority, conviction, authority, and she's doing something about it. Only God can do that. Thank you, sister. Thank you.
Renee, you really are. You really are the greatest audience in the world. We'll see you next time on the Esther Davis Show. Thank you.